Hi, I'm Carrie, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to talk about voiceover scams. Okay, so it's been a while, loyal subscribers, and I apologize. I've had the happy problem of being very busy with work. But for a long time now, I have wanted to make a video on scams because, unfortunately, scams happen. I imagine in every industry. In the voiceover industry, the way that they usually present themselves is in some kind of overpayment scam. So ultimately, the con is that they offer you a job and they overpay you for the job, pay you with a check, ask for the overpayment back, and then a couple of days later the check bounces and you're out the money. And also time that it took to work on the deal and do the actual job. The good news is that most of the scams that I've seen have some pretty telltale signs, and so you can learn to spot them after you've been around for a while. So here's a few tips in learning how to spot them. The first red flag is if a job falls out of the sky. Unfortunately, especially when you're first starting out, it's really not that common for a job to just fall into your lap. So a job offer, especially a job offer, not even an audition offer, but a job offer out of the blue from a new client, warrants some further looking into. It happens legitimately, and when it does, that's fabulous. But when a job falls into your inbox and you're not familiar with the client, you really should do some research first to see if this is a legitimate offer. So take some time before you even respond to look up the company on LinkedIn or look at their website, look up the person offering you the job on LinkedIn, see if they actually exist, see if the person is listed on the company's website as an employee, and check to see if they're active. If they have a LinkedIn platform, but they have kind of a fuzzy or a really generic picture and only 10 connections, that's pretty suspicious. You also want to make sure that the company itself is legit, so look at the verbiage on the website and make sure that it makes sense. If it's all just vague, nonsensical corporate speak and you can't even get a sense of what the company does, that's suspicious as well. The other red flag is in the message itself. If there's no professional signature or not a professional email, if it's like john54367@gmail.com, no offense to John, wherever he is out there with his happy Gmail account, but that's not coming from a professional account. And so that's another red flag that this is not a legitimate offer. And if they don't have any kind of professional signature and they don't tell you what company they're from, that's probably going to be a pass. Now, if all that is looking okay, now you can look at the body of the message itself and look for odd language. So particularly, you're going to look for odd specs. So something like, we're looking for someone who can speak English clearly with good pronunciation, but it doesn't tell you anything about the tone of the piece or the audience that the piece is aimed at. That's also another red flag. And a huge red flag that should just stop the communication right there is if they ask you to secure an outside studio to record in. Even if you have your own home studio, which I assume most of you do, some of these scams will tell you that they're going to have you rent an outside studio and they'll pay you the money up front to secure it. No. Another thing to look for is if the body of the message focuses on the payment and not on the job. So if they're really focused on how they're going to pay you, how much they're going to pay you, how long it's going to take to pay you, but then hardly say anything at all about the job itself, that's another red flag. The next thing to look for is if they're asking for your bank information or if they're insisting on paying by check. I think we all know not to give our bank information out to people that we don't know, but the check part is a little harder because there are some legitimate clients who still pay by check, which is fine. I have several clients who pay by check, but I'm established with them and I know them. They're not sending me a check out of the blue. I had one scammer recently contact me and say they have this project, they can only pay by check, and they need the name of my bank to do that. No, you don't need the name of my bank to write me a check. And the funny thing is that they didn't even ask me for my address, which they would need to write me a check. So that's something, again, that just warrants a little more looking into. Sometimes it's legitimate, sometimes it's not. Here's one that you really should avoid. If they say that they are going to send you a digital check that you are going to print out and then take to the bank, that's a big red flag, and you should probably walk away. I should mention wire transfers here. There are some legitimate clients who like to pay by wire transfer, especially international clients, and you do have to share some of your bank information when you do that. However, these days there's a lot of ways to be paid otherwise. Wise is an app that you can use that international clients can pay you. Stripe is another one. PayPal works in many, many countries. So there are other options out there, and your client should be willing to work with you to make that happen. The other thing to watch for that I'm just going to mention because it could be a whole video itself is to watch out for AI scams. Any contract for any voiceover job should be looked at very carefully, and you need to look at the AI protections, particularly for long form narration jobs, because you're providing enough content then for people to be able to make an AI model of your voice, and you want to make sure that they are not selling your voice to other clients or using it for other jobs without you getting some kind of compensation. So I highly recommend looking your contract over very carefully, and if there are no AI protections, asking the client if you can include the AI rider from the National Association of Voice Actors, NAVA. I also highly recommend joining NAVA. They're a great organization. They're doing a lot to help our industry be protected in this new age of AI. There's a lot out there about AI right now in the voice industry space, so I'm not going to go into it in any more detail except just to say, do check out NAVA and read your contracts very carefully. Okay, so what do you do if you've got this job offer in your inbox and you've done some research and you can't really tell if it's sketchy or not? The first thing that you really should do is follow your gut. If something feels really off about it, you probably should walk away. I've been in this situation myself. If something feels a little wrong here, but that's probably just me being paranoid and I could really use that money. The little voice is talking in my ear. But in the long run, it's so much more beneficial to avoid a scam than it is to maybe pass up a legitimate job. Okay, so you've done your due diligence and you've decided to go ahead with the job anyways, but you're still maybe just a little bit unsure. One of the things that you can do is ask for half payment up front. And if they do pay with a check, wait for the check to clear before you start the job. If you have determined it's a scam or you just have decided that the whole thing is too sketchy and you don't want to get involved, just say no thank you and walk away. Scammers can be persistent and they may keep messaging you, but you don't know any explanation. You can simply say no thank you. I'm not interested in this offer, and move on down the line. If you have fallen victim to a scammer, forgive yourself. Scammers are clever. They manipulate our emotions. They play to our vanities. So many scams have come across my desk with, we listened to your samples and wow, they're so good. And we really are impressed with your website. And, we're voice actors. We like that kind of stuff. And especially when we're just starting out, we're hungry for work and we're hungry for validation. And here it is just falling into our laps. It seems too good to be true. And it probably is. Lots of smart people are taken in by scams, and it's not helpful to anybody to keep berating yourself about it. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope that helps you avoid a scam. I've got the YouTube engine up and running again, so more tips soon. And check out my other videos for some other really good behind the scenes and voiceover tips. And if you like them, please do subscribe, and I'll see you next time.